Hey guys, welcome to the video. Happy Wednesday. It's Tara here. I help women get healthy, fit, and strong, and some men, but mostly women. And one of the things that brought me to that place, if you don't know anything about my past, is that I myself was my very first client. I had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had prediabetes. I even had a bout with hypothyroidism, and I was able to heal all of those things naturally. No meds. I never even took any real targeted supplements, anything besides your general supplements. And I'm going to share today one of the things that I've never spoken about that I believe really contributed to me being able to heal myself this way. And it's about fitness, but I want to kind of get into the nuances about it. And we might get a little bit science heavy. I hope that's okay with you guys. But I'm going to try to break it down and really explain it and explain to you why I think it's going to be useful to you, even if you don't have PCOS or prediabetes or any kind of blood sugar issues or anything like that. So the tip is, I'm going to explain the tip and then I'm going to break it down. Work out more of your body parts at a time. So I work out, I lift weights, do resistance training, and I do it a bit differently than some other people. So one of the things that I don't do is I don't just have one body part focused day. You might see if you're over on Instagram and you check out my stories every day, I post most days of the week, I post at least clips of my workout videos. I don't think I've ever actually posted an entire workout, just for the sake of time. And even if I post like leg day, it might be a leg focus day, for example, or shoulder focus day or something like that. But there's always something else going on that I'm doing. And there are two reasons for that. Number one is that it helps me to stay metabolically active. So let's say I'm working, it's a bicep day. So biceps are right here. Let's say I'm working at my biceps. And for me to be doing several exercises over and over and over again, rep after rep for that one muscle, I would have to take some time to rest, right? In between sets, I would have to rest. Instead of wasting that time resting, I choose to just then go work a different body part. I sort of sneak in other things, other body parts to keep me more metabolically active during that time. Basically, it's for efficiency. I'm able to condense my workouts into a shorter time period. Busy mom, condense my workouts into a shorter time period, but then also get a bigger bang for my buck, right? So I'm staying metabolically active. My heart rate is staying up. My lungs, my diaphragm are still working. My blood is still circulating, right? So I'm not completely resting. I'm training myself so that I'm able to stay aerobic at a higher intensity rather than switching from aerobic to anaerobic and then building up all of this lactic acid and then feeling super sore the next day, right? So, hey, Joni, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. So that's the first reason why I work more than one muscle group at a time, per day. So you might see me focus. A lot of times I do have a body part focus. Actually, it'll be a lower body day or a leg day or buys and back or something like that. But there's always other things going on as well. So in between sets, instead of resting, I'm doing something else. That's the first reason. The second reason, and the one that I really want to focus on mostly today, is that I'm trying to deplete glycogen throughout multiple muscle groups. So let me explain that one a little bit more. Glycogen is basically the form of glucose, sugar, that is stored in our skeletal muscles, our muscles that we think of when we move our body on purpose, like in terms of working out. Some of it is stored in our liver. On average, it depends on your size and things like that, but on average about 100 grams of glycogen is stored in your liver if it's filled up to if the tank is filled up. And in your skeletal muscles, though, it's about 400 to 500 grams. So it's a lot more in your muscles. Again, this is if your tank is all the way full. And this is what your muscles will use for energy, right? It uses this up during the workout, which is great. But muscles are a little bit selfish. So our muscles don't actually share glycogen with one another. So let's say you deplete, you use up, that's a good thing. You use up your energy, your glycogen from one muscle group. Your quads, your legs aren't going to just shoot some extras over to your biceps because you're working on them and you need it. It will stay in the muscles that they're in. So when I am able to work multiple body parts on the same day, what I'm doing is I'm able to deplete more of the glycogen throughout my body. And I want you to think about this visual. So somebody like me with PCOS, with prediabetes, I have to be very careful about my blood sugar. Another little side note is I'm a vegetarian. Not because I think that's the way that everyone needs to eat, but just because eating meat grosses me out. So a lot more of my food sources come from plants, which have more carbs, right? So how do I kind of reconcile these things? Well, this is one of the big ways I can do that. I make my body a lot more insulin sensitive and more able to take on the amount of carbs. I'm careful about my intake of carbs for sure, but this is what I do. I basically take my muscles when they're filled with glycogen, think of them like wet sponges. They can't really soak up any more of the sugar from your blood. They're wet sponges, right? They're not soaking up anything else. But when you deplete the glycogen inside of them, when you deplete that, they're like dry sponges. So now when you eat, when you onboard carbs, sugar, glucose turns to glycogen, right? It will be able to soak up that sugar out of your blood. So out of your blood, so it's not going to be causing any kind of huge spikes or anything like that, right? Decreases your inflammation into your muscles where you're going to be using it again for the next workout. So it stores it there until you use it. You eat, it stores it, you use it, right? And you're just supposed to store and use and store and use. That is why our body is designed to store these energy sources so that they can be used up, right? So what I do then when I work multiple body parts is that I'm turning more of my muscles into dry sponges so that they are ready to soak up the sugar from my blood after I eat then. And now I can focus on eating the plants that I think are healthy for me. Again, I try not to have a very high glycemic index diet. That just doesn't work well for me, and I don't believe that to be the healthiest thing. But I do believe in having plants. I think that we need those plant fibers to feed our microbiome, the beneficial bacteria and microbes that are inside our gut. They need something to feed on, and they feed on these plant fibers. So while carnivore diets are big right now, and keto, sometimes with or without enough plant matter, those things are big and they can certainly be used as tools for people. I'm not against them, but I do think that we have to be careful of making sure that we are getting enough of the fiber and of course the vitamins and the minerals and phytonutrients and things like that. So this is sort of one of the ways that I reconcile that for me, especially being somebody who's a vegetarian and gets even more plants than most people. I hope that helped you guys. The last thing that I wanted to say for today, myself, it was PCOS, pre-diabetes, right? That was sort of my Achilles heel. I believe very strongly that based on our genetics and past history and environment and things like that, we all have our Achilles heel. In other words, if you're put under a certain amount of stressors, your inflammation is going to show up in some way. And based on maybe your history or your genetics or whatever, it'll show up in different places, right? So I believe it's almost like a tear shape. I want you to think of it like this. We kind of all start here. When we have a lot of inflammation, right, it could be many different things. It's pesticides, it's not enough sleep, it's poor quality of food, not moving your body, like all of those things that we know, right? There's inflammation, and then it branches off into all these different things. It shows up differently for different people. So for me, it was my one branched over this way, and it was PCOS and pre-diabetes, right? Hypothyroidism, things like that, a little bit of autoimmune issues. For somebody else, it might be a pain disorder, an autoimmune pain disorder or whatever. It goes in different directions. But here's what the best part is. I believe it also sort of comes back at the top. So this is the tear shape. We can focus on so many of the same foundations in order to heal all of those different various conditions, or help heal. I'm not against allopathic medicine entirely, but I do believe that if there is some sort of a lifestyle intervention that can be at least coincide what the work that you're doing with your doctor, I think that's super important, right? Why just take a pill for something if you can also be trying to empower yourself to make the changes, and just, make it that much more powerful in combination, right? Or at least try this stuff first if you can. So we start here. We might be starting to get inflamed. Your body might take you this way. Someone else's body might take them that way. Somebody else's body might take them that way. But when we focus on the same things, we come together, we can help to heal ourselves, all right? So this is one big tool that's really helped for me, is to work multiple muscle groups so that my glycogen is depleted throughout my body. I become more of a dry sponge. I can soak up the food that I eat. I eat with intention. I leave a little bit of room to have some fun food, so I don't weigh or measure or I'm not dogmatic about any of this stuff. But if I do the right things to fuel my body most of the time, then those other times that I want to have a little bit of fun with it, it doesn't affect me too much, because my body has become resilient because I treat it well most of the time. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And always interested in taking topic ideas from you guys. So if there's something else you want me to talk about, this topic idea came because last week somebody told me in my stories that they wanted me to talk more about how I healed my PCOS. So a lot of my topic ideas come from you. So make sure you let me know if you want me to cover something in the future. Happy Wednesday. Bye.